Hello everyone, I'm Nini FC and this is Blue Lines TV, and today I'm bringing you guys a transfer news video, and I'm going to be talking about three stories today. I'm going to be talking about Alvaro Morata and links back to Juventus. I'm going to be talking about Richarlison links from Watford, and I'm going to be talking about Paris Saint-Germain and Bayern Munich interest in Kennedy. You guys know what the deal is already. Hit the bell notification button to stay tuned to all things Blue Lines TV and smash that like button. Help me get more than 500 likes for this video. I'm going to have a second video up later today in regards to Martial, and obviously reports coming out that he's going to be leaving United at the end of this season, and I'm just going to be talking about why I feel we should be going in for Martial for next season. Unfortunately, I am going to have to push back that exclusive news video I have on a certain manager or two for tomorrow. But you guys don't worry, you know, I'm going to be doing, you know what? I can't promise anything. I might do a double upload in regards to the manager news I got, or I might put one out tomorrow and the other one out on Thursday. So you guys, no promises here. But anyway, getting straight into the first story of today, and that's in regards to Alvaro Morata. Corriere dello Sport are reporting that Morata could be available in the summer, as Juventus are actually looking at him and they're curious to make a bid for him this summer. Now, Matt Law of The Telegraph is stating that Morata's demeanour in the training ground hasn't actually been the same for a while now, and a lot of the players at Chelsea are a bit worried for him. Matt Law also reported that Morata isn't very happy with how overly physical the Premier League is. For example, you guys, we do know that he has been suffering from a back injury this season, and a lot of times he is getting hit from behind and getting knocked to the floor. Matt also states that Chelsea knew the long-term plan with Morata. They know that it's his first time playing as a first-choice striker in his career, and they understood that he was going to have some growing pains this season, but they're confident that he's going to perform for next season. But Corriere dello Sport are stating that if Juventus made a massive bid for Morata, there's a possibility that Chelsea might rethink their strategy on Morata and they could possibly even sell him. Now, this is the part where I give my thoughts and opinions. Let's say hypothetically that Chelsea were looking into selling Morata if a crazy bid was made by Juventus. They might be looking at Michy Batshuayi thinking, wow, this guy's form has been very good. He's scoring nearly every single game for Dortmund. We could build the team around him. They are pretty similar in a way in terms of how they like to play inside the box and how they play as strikers. Would it be the end of the world if we did get rid of Morata and just focus on Michy Batshuayi as being the first choice striker in this team? Maybe instead of signing a second striker, if we potentially did sell Morata, we could look to bring in a forward that's able to play across the front three, up front, on the wings or in behind, and that could be a better alternative to having a second choice striker over having an out and out striker. Now, Morata could be interested as well. We do know that his wife is Italian. They are expecting their first child pretty soon as well, and maybe Morata could possibly evaluate his options during the summer if Juventus's interest is concrete. Still, Morata was interviewed about his time at Juventus and Madrid not too long ago, and he had this to say about his time in Italy. He basically said that being Spanish, Italy's the best place to live in because of the beauty, the art, the food, the culture and the fashion. And he was basically saying that he wasn't necessarily happy with leaving Juventus in the way he had to, because of course Real Madrid inserted that buyback fee in his contract. So of course, when they put the money up, Morata had no choice, he had to leave. And he wasn't happy with the fact that when he returned to Juventus, they didn't take into account any of his personal growth as a player and as a person, and he felt that he was basically just returning back to the same place where they just saw him as the same type of guy, and he wasn't necessarily happy with how he was being used. Now, Morata has always been a temperament and confidence type of person. He needs to have that right mentality and environment around him for him to really prosper and grow. Now, at Chelsea, they believe in him, they can offer him that, but at the same time, it could probably come down to, of course, how concrete Juventus' interest is in Morata, and maybe potentially he could be really assessing what's best for his family. But who knows, you guys? Again, I'm only being hypothetical. He's only been here for a year. It usually takes people a year or two really just to settle into a new country. So let's see what's going to happen for next season. But in the comment section below, let me know if you'd be happy to sell Morata now, or if you think we should keep him for another season. Now, the second report is in regards to Kennedy, and Sky Sports are stating that Bayern Munich and Paris Saint-Germain are monitoring Kennedy's development at Newcastle United. Of course, they're monitoring, they're not putting in any bids because they're very impressed with what they're seeing so far. A lot of clubs are, and they really want to assess whether Chelsea might make him available during the summer. Kennedy is really enjoying his time at Newcastle, and he had an interview not too long ago, I think just like last week even, and he was basically saying that he sees Rafa Benitez as a father figure because he's very supportive, he helps him a lot, he encourages him to really, you know, speak English. And that was a surprise to me when I read this article, because I've thought that Kennedy could already speak English already, but you know, moving up north, the Geordie accent is a bit hard maybe. Again, that's not really a good enough excuse, but again, he's really encouraging him to, you know, really take things serious. And Kennedy is pretty young still, he's only 22 years old, he just turned 22 as a matter of fact, so we can't expect all of these players to just be model professionals straight away. People learn during their own time. Kennedy himself stated that if he had to stay at Newcastle for another season, he'd be happy with that. That's not saying that he's definitely staying at Newcastle for another season, but if worse came to worse and he had to stay with Newcastle, he'd be content with that. Now, this is where I give my thoughts and opinions, and to me it's no surprise that big clubs will be monitoring Kennedy. I always felt that this guy was a very exceptional player, and I think a lot of us knew, I think all of us knew that if you played him in his natural position, you could really see what this guy could do. Of course, at Newcastle, he is playing as a left winger. My personal opinion, in the future, I would like to see him move to playing on the right wing, because I feel that with this guy cutting inside with his left foot, that's how you could really potentially, you know, get a place in this Chelsea team in the future. Still, none of us are surprised that he's doing very well at Newcastle, and it's just the story of most Chelsea youth players. You know, they get misused, they get used out of position, and they really struggle, of course, because again, they're playing in very negative systems on top of that, and they can't really show what they can do. Ruben Loftus-Cheek is a prime example, but one thing you guys really have to pay attention to is the fact that they barely play football because they're not playing under 23 football. All they were doing at Chelsea was just training and maybe playing the odd game every month. You've got to realise you don't really have any match fitness, so for Kennedy to really get back into Premier League rhythm pretty quickly, it really lets you know just how incredible their individual talent is. I've been making this point all the time, especially in regards to Ruben Loftus-Cheek. I felt with him, he's really just showing his individual talent this year and what he can do. Next year, we can start to really see what Ruben Loftus-Cheek is really about. And I think it's going to be the same thing for Kennedy as well. Do I think that Kennedy should get a place in the team for next season? Now, ideally, I would like to see that happen, but you'd have to get opportunities on the right-hand side. But this is where we have to look at the realities of how Chelsea work as a club. We can't really expect them to really have any type of long-term strategy for their youth players, because if that was the case, there'd be a lot more young guys in the squad or in the team right now. Personally, I think it's best that Kennedy probably gets sold and we insert a buyback fee, because as I'm trying to stress this point, we don't have a strategy for him to really improve year on year. It's best that he's available on the market, so let's say potentially a Dortmund, a team around that level, look into him, sign him, they can play week in, week out, and then in 2 years time, we can activate that buyback fee, bring him back, and then we're basically getting back a free player and a potentially top class player as well. I really feel that's a strategy that we just need to implement now for a lot of these guys. And the final report is in regards to Richarlison of Watford, and reports are coming out stating that Paris Saint-Germain and Monaco are interested with Arsenal and Chelsea in regards to looking to bring in Richarlison. Now, of course, during January, Arsenal and Chelsea, we did inquire about Richarlison's availability during January, but we were put off by the price and Watford didn't want to sell him at all. Even before Watford did sign him, we were looking at bringing him into the club. And on top of that, Richarlison has a very close friendship with David Luiz and Willian. When he was being interviewed by the Evening Standard, he was talking about how Luiz and Willian look after him, how he's regularly going to Luiz's place where Luiz has got the barbecue out. They've got crazy long FIFA sessions as well. And he's also stating that Willian really helps him to try and improve his game and hone his skills. He really gives him a lot of advice. And this advice gets into such depth that they're actually watching videos of what to do in certain situations, how to improve, and tips and tricks and how to cope in this league. Now, reports are coming out that Watford would want £40 million for Richarlison. And this is the part where I give my thoughts and opinions on this matter. In my opinion, I don't feel we should be looking at Richarlison at all. Now, for me, for this season in particular, I'm not really going to be too harsh with him, because really, this is more of an educational experience, you know, a new country, new league, new style. It's all about learning and adapting and just really seeing how well he can cope. He's shown that he can compete in the Premier League, but at the same time, let's look at the realities. Where does he play? Predominantly he plays on the left hand side and sometimes behind the striker. Now in my opinion, I feel he does much better playing as a wide forward and a centre forward behind the striker compared to playing as a winger. And if he was to join a club like us for next season, he wouldn't be able to play in his natural position, so it really wouldn't make any sense. And he's not going to get that game time because he'd have to compete with other experienced players to get a first team spot. And in my opinion, I do feel that there's other players that we do have that are much better than him. I'm looking at Kenedy's, Hudson-Odoi's, Bogus, etc, etc. I feel that he needs to have patience with his career, spend another season with Watford, and then leave them to sign for a club like a Dortmund or a Tottenham, or a club around that level where, you know, you get that guaranteed game time to play week in, week out. That's really going to help your development to go to the next level. I don't think he's ready to play for Chelsea yet at all. I don't think he's good enough individually. I think with Richarlison and what I've seen of him, I feel that he could potentially evolve into becoming a striker, as I feel he's better running towards the goal over his link-up play and build-up, which I don't think he really does very well in my opinion. Even though he has a lot of his friends there, who knows what's going to happen next season? I've already told you that Willian could potentially be leaving and being sold in the summer next year. So for Richarlison, I feel that just have patience and really look to join a big club when you're 25 or 24. But anyway, you guys, thank you for watching today's transfer news video. Please like, comment and subscribe. 500 likes, hit the bell notification button if you haven't, to stay tuned to all things Blue Line TV. I'm going to be releasing a video on Martial in the next few hours, so I'll see you guys later. I'm the FC, this is Blue Line TV, signing out.